Hi, it's Dorothy Guinan with Scrapbooking Quebec. This week I'm joining the Punched Out Thursday to Die For collaboration. We share ideas every Thursday on what to do with your punches and your dies. I will put links to all the other participants below, so be sure to check out their channels for more tool inspiration. I don't have much time today, so I'm going to be doing something quick and easy, a classic grid. I'll also show you how easy it is to step it up a notch by just grabbing a few tools. Here is the paper I'm going to be using. You're about to see it in a minute. All of this is by Heidi Swapp and her Sun Chaser collection. I also gathered a bunch of tools, actually not that many, here they are. And in this video, I will talk about these tools, of course, but these are very easy to substitute, so I will talk about that as well. Also, everything I use will be listed and linked in the description box below. So let's get started and have a look and see what's on my desk. And the first part's going to be a bit slow because I do want to talk about paper selection. So my foundation page is a 12 by 12 piece of basil marshmallow cardstock. And I did trim and mat 3 photos, and these are tropical photos. So I'm selecting a collection that is tropical. This Sun Chaser collection has a very summery tropical vibe about it. And my jumping off paper for my color selection is this rainbow stripe paper that I just showed you. I'm going to pull in that pink because it coordinates. And I also have this text print, which is tighter than the rainbow stripe. Now they all work well together, but I don't end up using that text print after all. This is what I start with. I often do this, and then I adapt as I create the page. Now this paper here, I'm bringing it in, but my plan is to cut it up, to cut up those stripes, and that's what I will be using to cut out my embellishments using my die cutting machine. Now here was my other option. I also selected these 2 papers here again from the Sun Chaser collection, but the reason why I didn't select them is because of the blues. There's a lot of blues predominant in the paper, but they are different than the blues in the photos. And to me, that just kind of jumped out at me. So for that reason, I went with papers where the colors, the predominant colors, were completely different. So I went with the pinks and yellows and oranges. Anyway, is that right? Is that wrong? In my opinion, there really isn't an answer. That was what just felt right to me today when I'm creating this video. Here are the embellishments I have for the Sun Chaser collection. I have quite a few of them from the Sun Chaser collection, and I'm showing them to you because lately when I buy my collections, I have been trying to buy fewer embellishments for the purpose of beefing up my embellishment packs with tools from my stash. And I showed you 3 packs there because my rule of thumb lately has been to buy alphas along with 1 ephemera pack and 1 sticker sheet. Make do with that and then work with my tools. Now for this one I clearly didn't succeed, so I don't always succeed, but I wanted to also share that part of my thought process. As you can see, I've already started cutting paper up here, and these are all pieces that will be put on my foundation page a little bit later on, and I will put those measurements on the screen later on as well. For this big pink chunk here, what I'm going to do is cut myself out a photo mat for it. So I plan to place these 4 photos, I should say 3 photos, in a grid style, and I will fill in that block later on. And what you saw me do was take a pencil and I just marked the width of this pink paper and the length. And now I'm using those pencil marks as a guide to trim down this paper. Obviously, if you're using smaller photos or larger photos, you can change up the sizes, and you just saw how I decided to create the size of the mat that I did. Now what I'm going to do is place everything on the foundation page just to give you an idea where I'm going. And my plan is to create a border at the top and a border at the bottom of the page. And I'll place that large photo block right in the middle. Now with this pink strip of paper, I'll talk about this yellow one first. I plan to fill in that block with that yellow paper, which is actually the flip side of that rainbow stripe. Now with this pink strip of paper, my plan is to just cut it on the diagonal. And what I want here is one side to be significantly larger than the other, as much as one can with such a narrow strip of paper, but you can see one was larger than the other. And now I'm just trimming down that yellow paper, and that's the same size as the mats behind my photo. So now I'm going to place everything on the page and let you know where I'm going with this. So I'm going to take those diagonal cut pink strips and place one at the top and one at the bottom. And the reason why I wanted one significantly larger than the other, it's because the strips at the top are larger than the strips at the bottom. So there's where I'm going with my layout. Before adhering anything, I do want to apply a bit of ink. So the ink I am using is Morning Mist by VersaFine Clair. It's just a gray ink. And I apply ink to the borders at the top and at the bottom. I also apply ink to that big pink block that goes in the middle, along with that yellow block. But everything else, the photos, I leave without ink. So now what I'm going to do is adhere my pieces, all of this, to the page before I continue with title, journaling, and embellishing. You can see Chester has come by for a little visit here. What I do right now is I start by adhering the strips at the top and the bottom, and then I bring out my ruler just to make sure everything is lined up and straight. You're going to notice the one at the top there I miscalculated when I was cutting, so there's a little white edge there up in the top right, but that will be covered up when I adhere the pink strip to the top of the page, so no harm done at all. So this is exactly how I'm adhering it. And I do think that the diagonal cut strips at the top and the bottom do kind of change things up a bit. It's a very small twist, but it does add a certain dynamic to the page, and it is certainly a fun way to step up a very simple grid. So you can see I'm adhering those blocks to my photo mat, and then I'm literally going to adhere this directly in the middle of my page. So my plan at this point is to create two main embellishment clusters with a hint of a third to create a visual triangle. So the main part of my embellishing is all going to go in that block in the top left. That's going to be a journaling box, a title spot, along with my main embellishment cluster. I'm also going to have another one at the bottom right as well, and a small one in the top right. I am showing you the dies I'm using. They are called Botanical Builder dies from Stampin' Up. Very old dies. I absolutely love them. There are like layered flowers there, so several different sizes of flowers, including little flower middles, so you can layer them up one on top of the other. The same thing, there are a few different leaves in a few different sizes. So what I'm doing, you can see I cut out that paper. So with the green part, I'm cutting out all my leaves, and I will do the very same thing with the other colors, and I will be cutting out different flower parts. Now there are a bunch of different flower dies on the market from tons of different companies where you can get these flowers with several different layers. But short of this, all you need is a flower punch and a leaf punch. You can see I continued cutting out my flowers off camera. I was adhering them, and I'm continuing to adhere them. So I'm just putting them together with 2 or 3 layers depending on the flower, and later on I'm just showing you I'm going to come in with some enamel dots. So these make really nice little embellishment pieces. I also have a little pile of white flowers there. That's just cardstock, because some of them I do plan to back with cardstock and then pop up on foam adhesive. I'm just showing you an example there of a simple punched out flower, and in the middle I have 2 different circle punches just layered up, and that is another easy way to create a super easy but fun layered flower. Now you can see I have a bunch of embellishing around me, and I did cut out my journaling box off camera. I'm showing you these brand new dies from Stampin' Up. They are called Deckled rectangle dies. So that's what I use to cut out my journaling box. Obviously for that you could just cut yourself out a rectangle, no big deal there. So there's the tray full of my beautiful flowers and leaves, and I have this little bowl there that's with the ephemera pieces, and I also have my stickers and my alphas over to the side, and I do have some enamel dots. So The first thing I'm going to do is think about my title here. Actually, before I do that, I do want to adhere that journaling box where it is right now because I know that's where it's going to go. But for my title, obviously I have alpha stickers here, but I immediately dismiss that. In the ephemera pack, there are a bunch of word pieces of ephemera. I am short on time today, so I'm just going to use one of those. So I grabbed this tag here. It says good time. So that's going to work. And I'm going to put it, I think at this point, towards the bottom of that journaling box. And in fact, that is where it goes. But before adhering that, I am going to play around with my embellishing. So like I mentioned earlier, main embellishment cluster is going to go in the top left there, all around the journaling box and title, and then another one in the bottom right. So I'm starting with the bigger flowers, just kind of creating an organic cluster there, bouncing them in and out. I come in with a few smaller ones, and now I'm tucking in leaves. So it creates a quick and easy cluster. I love using flowers and leaves for that reason. So that's why I think that having a flower die or a few different flower punches in your stash, I should say, with leaves is a fantastic tool to have. Very, very useful. So I did the same thing at the bottom, but I was conscious to keep that one smaller. When I create embellishment clusters, I definitely like to have them in different sizes. And you'll see later on, the third one isn't really going to qualify as a cluster. I'll do that a little bit later. I'm going into my store-bought pieces right now, and I decide to put another tag underneath that title tag because I want it to stand out as a title. I put in a little heart piece of ephemera in that bottom cluster. I'm playing around with some other word pieces of ephemera, but I opt not to use it because I figured if I added another word or more word pieces on this page, it would take away from my title that I selected. If I added more words, the good times tag would just look like another piece of ephemera, or that's what was going through my head. But by not adding more word pieces from the ephemera pack, the good times tag stands out more as a title. You can see I am adhering everything to the page, and some of these will be popped up with foam adhesive. I think I do 3 of the flowers. So for those ones, you're going to see me back it with that white cardstock because I don't want the flowers to be wimpy and bend. So by backing them with that sturdy cardstock and putting foam adhesive, it just stands up nicer. Once I get all of this adhered, then I will come in and do some finishing touches. But you can see this is a very, very simple page design. And by adding those borders at the top and the bottom, and I also find by adding that simple diagonal strip at the top and the bottom, it really does change the dynamic a bit. The same thing by adding all of these punched out pieces and creating clusters at the top and the bottom. It just kind of makes the grid a little bit more fancy. So I'm almost done here, and then what you're going to see me do is go back into that sticker book there and just find a few more pieces. So I do want to add something in that top right corner there. So before doing that, you saw I stuck a sun sticker behind that tag title. So that makes my title stand out a bit more. And I'm just going into these word stickers, which are part of the sticker book from this Heidi Swapp collection. And I selected 2 in the colors, yellow and the mint green, because the pink is already predominant there. But that was simply a repetition of the color that's in the 2 other embellishment clusters without adding too much weight up there. And I'm happy with that. And all I'm doing is coming in with a few enamel dots from my stash, putting them in the middle of a few of those flowers, and my page is done. Basically, all I'm going to have to do now is my journaling, and I did that off camera. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would be thrilled if you did, and if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Don't forget to check out the other ladies. Their links are listed below. Have a great day, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.